Hey, Melissa, how you doing today?
Hey, Chris. Well, thanks for joining me today. Today's a really important video. Today, we're going to be talking as part of our series on parenting with calm and confidence. One of the big issues that we have in parenting is boundaries around technology. And we want to teach parents today to use the technology to create those boundaries, use the actual technology itself. Hey, everybody, it's Melissa Boher Jacobson. And for those of you that know me or don't, I am a confident life coach and a clinical hypnotherapist. And I specialize in working with parents and families to bring calm, confidence, and actual joy and healthy relationships back into their home. And one of the ways that we do that is by teaching parents everything they need to know so that they can have boundaries around the important things. And one of those important things is technology.
Mm.
So if you've ever had a fight with your child over a device or screen time or giving up their laptop, because these are things that happen with my one-on-one clients. And that's why I created this course called Parenting with Calm and Confidence to help people, not just with the technology boundaries, but with all of the aspects of parenting and having peace and calm in the home. But anyway, today we're talking about how to use the technology that exists already in your home to create boundaries so that you don't have to have those fights and that you can confidently create and implement boundaries around technology. So I'm really, really grateful to my business coach, who's a technology, shall we say, whiz. His
We
name is Chris
could, yeah,
Prouty.
listen, we could say that. It doesn't mean that it's true, but we could
Okay,
say
well, we're going to say it. And he's also a parent.
that is true 4 times over.
Yes.
You know what, Melissa? We should probably also tell them that about 3 years ago, you worked with my kids. You gave my kids some really profound coaching that sticks with them to this day. Even the littlest ones, who were just little at the time, you gave them some coaching that they still talk about.
And I'm a huge fan of Chris, and he's helped me with my business. But as he said, he is a parent of 4 children. So he and his wife, I asked them some opinions about my parenting course.
Hmm.
And when they showed me their technology for managing their technology at home and how automated it is, I asked Chris if he would do a video for to help parents and teach you, and that's what we're going to do today.
Yeah.
And do an over the shoulder, and we're going to show you what you can do to set up these parental controls with the technology that exists right within your home. So Chris is an expert in this kind of thing. So he's going to show us together how to set that up so that
Yeah.
you can start immediately implementing this and start having more control over the technology in your home and let the technology do the work for you.
I'm excited to show you this. Before I do, I'll tell you the origin of this is I have 4 children. The oldest is 14, the youngest is 5. We waited a long time before we introduced technology to them. They still don't watch TV. Even the 14-year-old, we as a family don't watch TV, but that's a personal choice that we've made. But they do have tablets, and they can use those tablets with parental restrictions. So there are applications that they don't have access to because we don't install them, and they can't install them themselves. But even in doing that, there are times where it's hard to get them off of the device. And we always will try the human approach first, which, Melissa, I think you would agree is the right thing to do, is have the relationship where you
Correct.
can say it's time to come off. But sometimes a 5-year-old doesn't really understand that, hey, it's time to come off. Is that what you experienced with the people that you've worked with?
Yes, definitely. I mean, in my parenting course, the goal of that course is to establish those healthy, trusting relationships. And children need to know what to expect of their parents. They need for their parents to be in charge. And parents need tools to support them in that. So obviously the first line of, shall we say, poor choice of words, first line of defense,
Hmm.
to
Just the first line of
have
action.
conversation and to use binary choices, which I teach in my course,
Mhm.
how to use effectively. And part of, and to use, consistency, the three C's,
Mhm.
which are communication. So that's the first thing we do is communicate optimally. And then sometimes we need to communicate those expectations and those boundaries effectively. So that means that we need to communicate consequences. And then we need to apply those consequences with consistency. And when you build it into your technology, that makes it a lot easier for you to minimize that decision fatigue about how I'm going to implement these consequences. And it helps you have that very important consistency. And when you implement those three C's, you can build that healthy, trusting relationship with your children because they understand without having to ask you what is going to happen if they don't meet your expectations. And you and Amy have done a really good job with all of those things.
So we try, we got to try communication first with clarity and consistency. But sometimes that doesn't work. And sometimes you need to, I see it, and I think we see it more as we just got to give them a little steer in the right direction. And as parents, that's our responsibility is to, I don't want to hover over these kids, and I don't want to, just be the, you're doing this and you're doing this now. But I got to point them in the right direction. As a dad, got to point them in the right direction. Sometimes I need you to use technology to help me do that. So I'm going to share my phone screen. I'm going to show the tech that I use to do this. So while I'm getting this set up, why don't you tell them how they can get involved in your Confident Parenting group and program?
As a confident life coach and a clinical hypnotherapist, I have worked with many, many, many families very effectively and restored that calm and that confidence and that joy to their home. But doing it one-on-one, there's recurring themes that keep coming up. And I work with a lot of different kinds of families. I have families that are blended families there's certain challenges that go along with that. I have families that include neurodiverse children. There are challenges that come along with that. But there are certain themes that occur between all of these families, and getting these fantastic results that I'm getting with them. I wanted to package that in a way that I could reach as many families as possible because there is so much struggle and challenge going on in the world, and our families need to know how to cope and how to manage effectively and to create those trusting, loving relationships at home as a safe harbor for everybody's mental health. This is absolutely crucial. So parenting with calm and confidence is something that I came up with to bring these effective strategies and techniques to as many people as possible. It is a live program. It's delivered via Zoom on Thursday evening starting August 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern. It is a curated program. It includes group coaching with me. It also includes community. So you get to meet and build relationships and therefore get the third component, which is support from other parents who can relate to some of the things that we're all going through, and we can help each other. So that's a little bit about this parenting with calm and confidence. I'll make sure that I share a link at the end of this presentation so people can either get on a call with me and get their questions answered about that. This is a program, by the way, you can do from anywhere, from the comfort of your home, and it is live. It is me coaching you personally in a group setting. And also share a link to the registration if you're like, wow, this is exactly what I need right now. Or you just want to learn about what is included in that program. I'll provide a direct link to the program at the end of this video as well. But
very cool.
How are you going with the technology?
I'm ready to go with the tech. I've got my phone here and ready to go. I think the thing that inspires me most about your program is the group component of it. Because when I talk with other parents, it's like you always get this one little detail that you might be missing from somebody else. You're like, oh, why don't I try that? And then with you orchestrating the whole thing, I mean, well, really, it's like being a PhD and a parent. You know,
About that, but
you,
there
you
certainly
could
is.
you could quote me on that.
There's no degree that comes
Mm,
with being a parent. We all know that. There's no manual. There's no degree. You can read a million books,
yeah.
but it's
Sometimes
really
you just
hard to
need.
put them into practice. It can be very, very overwhelming, all the techniques. And in my programs, I really try to simplify things down
Mm,
to just a strategy that you can implement immediately and it'll work that
right.
day.
All right, Melissa. So I have just shared the screen of my phone. You are looking at the same phone, the screen of this phone that I'm holding right now. Through the miracle of editing and of recording and technology, you can actually see my phone. So what we're looking at here is an application that I have installed on my phone. And this application came with my internet service. Now, there are lots of different kinds of internet services. I happen to have AT&T. So my internet goes through the AT&T network. So I get a bill from AT&T every month for internet services, and the equipment in my house is AT&T equipment. Now, the parents who are watching this, you're going to have internet service as well, and you're going to have your own internet service provider. It might be AT&T like mine, or you might have something else. You might have Spectrum or some other internet service provider. So if you have AT&T, your application is going to look like the one that I have open right now, which is the application that manages my internet. If you have another service provider, they're going to have their own application. Now, because I don't have any other internet service provider here, I don't have another application that I can show you. So I can only show you the one that I have.
And, other technology that you have taught your clients, a lot of times, even though you might not have this exact provider, they typically work in a very similar way.
Work the same way.
Yeah.
So what you're going to look for in your application is a way to manage the devices that are connected to your network. So what I just did is I clicked on the middle icon at the bottom. It looks like three people gathered together. You can see that. There's a little blue dot below it right now. That's the icon that I clicked on. If I go back to my home, you can see I'm at the home screen that you just saw, and there's a little home icon lower left with the blue dot. So I'm going to click on those three people again. And what this does is it shows me every device that is connected to my network. Generally, when a device has a name associated with it, and I'm going to blur out my kids' names in this video, but where you see the blurry part, there's actually the name of a child and then the device that they're connected to. And so you can see I have an iPad, I have a phone, you can see the computer that I'm on, and then another iPod, my home pod. So the point of this is to show you first two things. The first thing I want to show you is that I can click on a child's device and you can see that underneath Control Center, there is a place where I can pause Wi-Fi. So what that will do is it will pause the internet connection to the device. As simple as that. If I click this, I can select an amount of time and it will 30 minutes, 2 hours, or 24 hours. The moment I click that, this child's device is going to go offline. So I can use this when communication isn't effective and I'm picking my battles and I don't feel like having a screaming fight with a kid. I'm just going to restrict their internet. They might not even know I'm doing this. They just might see that their tablet stopped working. They're not going to get a notification aside from anything that's internet connected is going to stop working. And then after 30 minutes, it will resume. If I were to pause this device, this would now, instead of saying online right below the iPad, it says online, it would say paused. And so that would pause, that's where I could come in. If I wanted to bring this device back online, I could click there and bring it back. Like, let's say I paused it for 24 hours, but then I realized that was too long. I can unpause the device as well. So with just a couple of clicks, I open up the app, I click on the people, click on the device, and now click pause and select a time. It takes It was 15 seconds. And I can execute that change to give that child some direction. So that is one way of using technology to help restrict the device. I'm going to show you a second way, but before I do that, Melissa, do you have any questions on what I just showed?
Well, I think that this is an important point to make here is that as one of the boundaries that you should have in your home is that your children are not to touch your devices because kids are brilliant
Mm-hmm.
at your children should not have your phone should be password protected. All your devices should be password protected. You should change those passwords relatively frequently. You should never give your password to your child. They should not have access because once they have access, it's very easy for them to figure out
Yeah.
how to get around this.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I think is important to consider.
Let me show you the second way of restriction, and this is through a schedule. So you can see here under profiles and devices where it says the letter S in a blue circle, I actually have a schedule set up for scheduled downtime. One of the things that's important to me is that my children come off technology long before bedtime. And not using it as, this is my personal preference. I don't want them laying in bed with their tech before they fall asleep. I want them to have a couple of hours to do something, to get outside, fresh air, look at the sky, play, break stuff, whatever, but let's be off tech. So you can see at 7 p.m. daily, the downtime starts, and it goes until 8 a.m. the next day. And with this, if I just click this, I shut this off prior to our call just to show you how you can turn it off and turn it on. But generally, I keep this on all the time. And the kids know 7 p.m. comes, which is usually when dinner is wrapping up. They know that, oh, it's time to do something other than tech. So as this thing spins, it's going through and it just turned itself on, or now I turned it on. The daily downtime is enabled. And then below that, you can see included devices. So I can include specific devices in this. So for example, the 5-year-old, the 8-year-old, the 11-year-old, I can include them, but the 14-year-old I could leave alone so that she still has connection after 8 o'clock or before, or after 7 p.m. or before 8 a.m. if she needs it. And then finally, at the very bottom of this, you can see there is a pause internet. That will universally pause the internet for everybody that's included in this. So if it were, say, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I wanted to pause the internet for whatever reason, I could just click that and pause it. So that's the second way of restricting. And again, this is AT&T specific, but all of the ISPs, the internet service providers, are going to have something similar inside of their application. And I will make this note, I don't pay anything additional for this. It's just part of the service.
What I love about this is that this, again, supports the messaging. This is one of the strategies that I really recommend is that as a family, you come up with a specific tech-free time. And there's no getting, like there's an agreement that there's tech-free time zones in a family that are, again, there's that consistency. It's a non-negotiable, and it's supported by the technology, supports it. The technology automatically shuts off so that the people who are in that tech-free time zone, they have a little extra support in not being tempted to break that boundary or break that rule.
Yeah.
And I also like the fact that this is something that comes up with a lot of families that, well, what about my 14-year-old? She has to do all of her homework on the computer. So you can customize this. Likewise with parents, technology is a tool. It is not a lifestyle. It is simply a tool, and we need to use the tools in a balanced way to make our life easier. But when we get sucked into the technology and it becomes our life, that is when it becomes more of an addiction. And we want to make sure that we frame technology correctly and appropriately. And here's a family, here's a very high-tech gentleman whose business is technology, and yet he has, you and your wife have used technology to create these tech technology-free time zones
The
and use
reality,
use technology to support that is the way to go.
the world that we live in right now, and the reality is, as busy parents, sometimes you need technology to get the kids so that they're not bugging you while you're trying to get the thing done. Whatever the thing is you're trying to get done, sometimes you just need 15 or 20 minutes. And if they're on tech, it can be a nice break for you. And if that's you, then you're not alone, because a lot of people feel that way. But for me, I think it's the mindful use of technology. And I want technology to enhance my children's lives instead of replacing parts of their lives.
Correct.
So,
Perfectly said.
yeah. So there's the quick tip and the quick tutorial for you. The last bit of advice that I will give is, you could see in mine, even though I had it blurred out, you could see that my kids' names were associated with the devices. Sometimes a device, especially a newer device that might not be set up with the kid's name, you might not see it as that device in your list. If that happens, I just take the approach of, I start pausing one thing after another until I hear the kid go, "Hey." And then when I hear the kid go, "Hey," I know I found the device, and I'll rename it in the application so that I know for the future that's their iPad. That might happen. So you might have to just start pausing devices until the kid goes, "Hey, where'd my thing go?" And
Right.
then you can rename it in the application. Melissa, that's what I've got for you for today.
That is fantastic. I'm so grateful to have your expertise today, both as somebody who is, very comfortable with technology,
Mm.
and also as a parent, and also as a client. I want to say it is about the kids, and it's if we're talking about the kids, we're talking about the parents, and there's no way to help kids without helping the parents. So if
Oh.
your kids are struggling
Mm.
with mental health, with confidence, with self esteem, with anxiety, with depression, with friendships, with coping skills, with any of these, these are the kind of the greatest hits of kid struggles, um, and anything that's related to that, whether it's dealing with peer pressure, cyberbullying, all of these things. I am a resource for you. I have lots of content. I do encourage you to get on a call with me to do a free brainstorming session. And remember that kids' issues are parent issues. And if there's something that's going on with the child, we need to talk to the parent to see how we can help all of you restore your relationships. And healthy parenting and healthy kids happen when relationships are filled with healthy trust.
Coming from a parent and someone who's worked with Melissa, I'm going to say, if you're watching this and you've gotten this far in the video, you're the exact right person to be a part of that parenting group and mentorship that she has, because it's going to not only equip your children with the confidence and balance to handle anything that they have to handle in the world, whether it's at school, in sports, with their peers, in society, whether you're there or not, it's going to give that to the kids. But how does it give them to them? Not in a way like you're expecting. It gives it to the kids by first giving it to you. And that's the difference that we can't find anywhere else. And Melissa's been able to put that together in a way that is easy and feels fulfilling and feels like you have this amazing connection with your kids, the kind that you didn't have before.
So if that's something that is of interest to you, you can see the link to meet with me at www.meetwithmelissa.me.
Mm.
And there's another link there, which we'll share also in the description to this video, where you can find out all about parenting with calm and confidence is the name of the course. Again, it starts August 8th. It's a 12-week program. And I'd love to talk to you about how this program can change your family, change your life.
If it's beyond August 8th, when somebody's watching this, you're starting new groups all the time. You're starting your next group in August.
Right.
But people could join a group or start into a new group that you're having. So even if you're watching this in the future, first of all, hello to the future. But if you're watching this in the future, there's always going to be a new group starting. So they haven't missed out.
Correct.
Yeah.
And also, they can always get on a call with me and I will help navigate them into the right program. Sometimes what's right for one family is, I was on a call with somebody today. I offer groups for middle school girls. Sometimes one-on-one is appropriate. It depends on the family. It depends on their resources. It depends on their schedule. It depends on the child.
Yeah.
So there are many, many ways that I can help kids, teens, families, all kinds of people.
Amazing.
So thank you so much, Chris, for doing this today. I know it's going to be a huge help for many, many, many families.
My pleasure.
And we will, I will say goodbye and I'll say see you on the next video. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey, everybody.